that I'm going to be presenting to you this afternoon, public finance, and this is module 2, and this module is called, the title of the module is Characteristics and Functions of a Government Budget. A budget is simply a financial statement containing estimates of income and expenditure, how to earn money and how to spend it in a given period. So basically, we are saying in a given period you're going to earn some money, right? And this is government, remember. So where does it earn money? You still remember, if you were listening the previous lesson which I did about government income, which means most of the income is going to come from our what? From our taxpayers, which means most of the government income is basically from the taxpayer, which is tax. So we are going to talk about characteristics about what? These budgets. There is one characteristic of budget, which is tension. Remember, every government which comes into ruling a country, it has got its own aspiration, what they want to do, or what they want to be known, or what the legacy they want to leave to the people, that they've got this kind of legacy. So, like for example, the ANC had its own legacy, all right, of reuniting the blacks and the whites, and also making also the what, the most of the managers who were previously white dominated area in the field to also to be what, to be the black dominated, like the introduction of the policy. That policy of BEE is also the aspiration of the government. So there will be tension between the political aspiration and acceptable economic norms. Right? For example, they will introduce something, but without being prepared. They need to train managers. So after they train managers, then they can put them in position. So I'm also going to go down to talk about protection of the citizens. This also another characteristics of what? Of the budget. The budget should be able to protect the citizens, mostly which are the voters. So there is need also to distribute the wealth which has been earned by people. So we need to see that, okay, the budget, which one is the most inspired place, or which has got people who've got high earning income, like here in Joburg, we've got people who've got high earning income from Fourway, Sandton, Randbeck there. So, but that tax from that place need to be shared also with people in Soweto or other Tembisa or Patema, in those small suburbs. Then also we have also want to go to talk about, which is called what? Policy direction. The budget in every country, we have got what they call a policy statement. A policy statement is what they want to achieve as a government. So here, the government also follows whatever it has said or it has promised and put into policy. The budget also has also that element or characteristic, that it must be what? Directing to that policy. That must be understood. Then there are also important characteristics of a budget, which are very, very important. These ones, one, it is enforceable. The budget must be enforceable. So when we're taking enforceable, we are saying the whatever has been put into the budget must be implemented or must be followed up, and with action and being financed, so that we can achieve the certain goal which has been set by the government. All right. So we're going to talk about number 2. It reflects the political aspiration of the government. Every political party, when it gets to power, it has got its own political aspiration. What do they want to achieve? So the budget must also lead us to that aspiration. If you want to educate the black people, they also also must be what? Uh, More funds to opening of colleges, more funds to be also put for building colleges, building universities, so that we can also aspire to achieve that. Also, if we want also to have a black-run economy, we also need to train a lot of managers. We want also to have agricultural sector which is run by black. Also, we need also to train those people. It is also attempt to, this characteristic, the third one is also attempt to obey and take into account consideration sound economic principles, which means we must have sound economic principles. What are the economic principles you're talking about here? You're talking about the economic principles of demand and supply. How are the procedures of buying? Right? Are they done fairly? Or are they done biased or in a corrupt way? So this one also, the budget must give us that attempt to obey the what? The take into consideration the. Then there's also it attempts to satisfy the tension which I've mentioned before, that it also need to attend. That is number 4, which is attempt to what? To satisfy the tension which I've spoken before, that there's a tension between the political aspiration and economic norms, right? I might want to build schools, but the economic says I must have also the human resource to go and teach in those schools. So did I qualify to have the human resource, or did I qualify to have the buildings before I talk about building a university? So these are attempts to build that tension. Then also it reflects the fiscal policy of the government. This one, it's showing what is the fiscal policy, what are we going to operate, what are the kind of taxes we're going to charge, what kind of income is going to come from where, and how it is going to be collected. This is also reflected in the budget. That is why you see most of the people, they wait until the budget has been announced in March, so that now companies, they can start to do their own businesses, and also to make sure that they can know how they're going to charge their customers, how are they going, all the interest rates are there in the budget, right? Then we also talk about the, it clearly outlines the hierarchy of authority. When we talk about hierarchy of authority, we are saying that there is certain levels of power. Who does what? Who signs what? Who does what? So it means if a document, we want to create a road, a 5-kilometer road, whom are we going to talk to? Whom are we going to say who's supposed to sign that document? Who's supposed to approve that road? Who's supposed to have the authority to make sure that thing is passes through the government and it is done? So that is part of what? Okay. Then there are, for the last thing we are talking about, is the 8 functions of the what? Annual budget. Number 1, reflects policy. We talked about policy. What the political party believes. What are the political party believes? Right? And what are their ideas? That is very, very important. Right? Then number 2, be a source of information. A budget is a source of information. For example, administration authorities, when they are doing their administration, they are told, since I have told you that there will be a hierarchy of power, what's supposed to be done by this person, so that they can be approved there. After they've been approved there, they go to the next person. So in this case, also, the administration authorities, they need also the budget so that they know where to start and where to end. Also, information about financial institutions, they also do the same things. Also, they want to see how much are they going to tax people, how much are they going to charge interest. It comes also all from the budget. Also, the tax officials, the SARS, with this SARS, what it does, it collects money. and that money and percentage they are also put in the budget. Then also there's international what institution. There is international institutions which also need to know the guidelines. How is this going to work? For example, the IMF also needs to know how much are they budgeting. What are these guys planning? Are they planning to borrow from IMF or from the World Bank? How are they going to pay also to the World Bank if they have got what? Some borrowing. Remember I said in the beginning that the budget reflects what are we going to earn and what are we going to pay in a certain financial period, which in this case will be a year. All right. So then also it promotes distribution, redistribution. There is what we call objective structure. Objective structure is whereby we're saying what does it which we want to achieve, what are the goals, what are the aims of this project. For example, you have been given money and they say you're going to do this, you're going to build a road, you're going to build a school. So the objective here, so the objective structure is that there must be a school. We must see a school at the end of the day. Then what are the activities scheduled? There must be, now we are now talking about activities. There must be clearing of ground, there must be purchasing during this time and coming there, right? Then also there must be a resources schedule whereby we are saying, okay, we must give them money at this time so that they can hire the truck to clear the land. And we must also give them the structure here this time. This is now what? The resources. And when are we going to hire the personnel? Where are we going to do all those things? Remember, when you're talking about the resources, it's not only about the material thing, also there's also part of the human resources. There's also what we call a financial schedule. So a schedule is what is compiled for each project and for the budget program as a whole. So we do a schedule for this where we're doing this redistribution, right? Then there's regulates the economy. The budget regulates the economy so that there is no overspending and there's also what? Lack of spending. So that is regulating the economy. There's a detailed and operating program. There must be a detailed operating program in the budget. What are we going to do? How are we going to pay our salaries for the government employees? Then there's also what coordinate and integrate and activities. There's also coordination and what? Remember, there's PESAL. PESAL is a program for the government institution for all employees of government institution. So there's coordination between the Department of Higher Education and Training. There's also coordination between all the police. All they are being paid with one person, right? Which is the government. How it's going to be managed there. How it's going to be paid. They are all in one system. So there's also coordination and integration, right? There's also what we call control of expenditure. This budget also needs to control the expenditure. Then also lastly, the 8 functions of the annual budget is to promote accountability. Who worked on this? Who did this? Who paid that? Who was responsible? At the end, then we can have what is called a budget. Right. This is only the first half of this lesson. I'm going to finish this lesson in the next lesson of this module. This first half of the module, and I'm going to finish the second half of the module in the next lesson. See you then. Thank you.